Hello everyone and welcome to Life with Aprons. Today we are talking about one of the easiest plants that you can grow in your garden, and that is garlic. So join me. All right, we are talking about garlic today. It is one of my favorite additions into foods. It is one of my favorite go-tos for sicknesses. There is a lot to be said for garlic. In fact, I think it's kind of underrated. We are outside in the gorgeous weather today, and it seemed like the perfect day for us to plant some garlic. So that's what we're doing today. I want to show you guys just how easy it is to plant this. Now, before we get started, let's talk about the two different types of garlic. You have hard neck garlic and soft neck garlic. And true to its name, it just means that one has the harder stem, one has a softer stem. If you're looking for a good storage garlic, then you want to go with a soft neck garlic because those store the best. And that's what I'm planting today. I got mine from Baker's Creek Seeds. I'll put a link in the description. They have heirloom garlic and they have a lot of varieties from elephant garlic. This one's an Italian garlic. You can save your garlic from year to year so that you always have seed for the next year, and I typically do that, but last year I dropped the ball. I totally forgot about planting garlic and I didn't even plant any. So I am redeeming myself and I am getting ahead on everything and I am planting it this year. It is close to November. So it's a great time for me to go ahead and throw this in the ground. Gives it time to start growing before we hit the winter season and then finish its growing back in the springtime. And then I will probably harvest it in May or June. So it takes a while, but honestly, one of the reasons it's so easy to grow is because you don't really have to do a whole lot to it. When I grow garlic, I don't even water it. It goes through the whole season and I literally throw it in the ground. I don't throw it in the ground. I place it in the ground and I let it do its thing. And then come May and June, I harvest it. And that's why I say it's one of the easiest things that you can grow. And the seeds aren't tiny, so they won't get lost in the soil. You have these big cloves and it stays in that soil and it grows quite nicely. All right, let's start planting. I have a small patch here in my garden that I'm going to plant all of my garlic in. You don't need a big space. That's the beauty of planting garlic, is that you really don't need a large space because you're thinking when you put that clove into the ground, it's going to turn into a garlic bulb. So when you visualize that into the ground, you only need the space for a bulb in each one. So you can plant them pretty close together. And that's what I'm doing here. And you'll have your rows close together as well. I can fit about 70 plus garlic cloves in this small patch that's roughly 4 feet by 5 feet maybe. Now I've weeded this patch out. I had green beans in here this summer and I actually bribed my 8-year-old son. Yes, we do bribe on the homestead. And I bribed him with some gummy bears to pull out all of my old green beans. On a side note, we buy Black Forest gummy bears. I don't buy a lot of candy for my kids, but I do like to buy rewards every once in a while. And so we buy Black Forest gummies. I love them because they're natural. They don't have any yucky stuff in there. So if you're looking for a good reward for your kids, it's a great option. I even like the reward for myself because the gummies are really delicious. So I like to sneak some every once in a while as well. I'll put a link in the description for those. You can get a huge 6-pound bag on Amazon for a really great price. Now, let's get back to garlic. My son weeded this for me, and so now it is ready to go. My question is the soil ready? And I would say yes, and here's the reason why. Even though it's been depleted all summer from green beans, and before that, I had lettuce in here, I have also been putting on the garden and on the soil rabbit fertilizer from our rabbits. All through the summer, I like to dump rabbit fertilizer on there because I know that nutrients is coming out of the ground from everything that I'm growing. So I want to make sure that I am replacing that. This soil has already had rabbit fertilizer on it, so I don't have to worry about it being lacking in nutrients. I'm just going to take my garlic cloves. I just pulled it off of the bulb. You want to get the largest cloves. You don't want the teeny tiny scrawny ones. You get the big, fat, plump ones. I got 4 huge garlic bulbs from Baker's Creek, and that allowed me, oh goodness, about 80 to 90 little garlic cloves that were of a really good size that I could plant into the ground. So I'm going to show you this. This is one of the garlic cloves. And the bottom part there where you see it's got like that knobby piece, a little brown piece there, that's the piece that is going down into the ground. Your curvy piece up here is where your green shoot is going to come out of, and that's the piece that you want sticking up when you plant your garlic. So you're just going to stick it straight into the soil like this. I put mine down into the ground about a ½ inch, an inch, inch and a half. I really don't measure. I'm a pretty minimalist gardener, and so I just put it in the ground, cover it with dirt around an inch, and I let it do its thing. I don't even water my garlic that much, which probably is a no-no in the vegetable gardening world, but I find that as it's growing in the ground in the fall, it's not as hot as it would be in the summer, so it doesn't need as much moisture as it would in the summertime. I do put wood chips down over the garlic, and that really helps seal in moisture when it rains and release it as needed to the plants. So that is a key feature in not watering as much, is that you want to make sure you have a ground cover so the sun isn't evaporating all of that water. I have mulch on top of mine, and so it's going to release that water from the rain back into the soil. So I really don't water mine throughout the fall, and then it goes through the winter. You know, it's got some ice, sometimes some rain, some snow if we're lucky here in North Carolina, and that all goes back into the soil and feeds the garlic over the winter. And then springtime, it's ready to burst out and finish all of its growing, and then I'm ready to harvest by May and June. But again, like I said, this is really a hands-off thing to grow, and that's what I love about it. It's easy, it's hands-off, and the best part is it grows mostly during the seasons where you don't have it competing for weeds or anything like that, so you're not having to do any of that. Now, in this particular patch, as well as other parts of my garden, we broad fork our garden, and if you haven't seen that video, check it out. Broad forking in your garden is a game changer. You will not have to weed anymore. In fact, I don't know if you can see this, but if you look, right here is where we broad forked our garden. And then this piece of wood divides where we put a layer of fabric over top of the soil instead of broad forking. These are the paths in our garden, and so we decided to lay the fabric down and put mulch on top of that, and then broad fork the areas where we were planting in. Interestingly enough, the areas where we have the fabric is where we have the weeds. The areas where we broad forked, like right here, there are no weeds. Now, I'm not saying I never weed, but I rarely weed. I may pick a weed out here and there in the summertime, but let me tell you, the broad fork, it is a game changer, and it gets all of those weeds out. It gets the roots out, and you pull those out, and your soil will be so much healthier because your vegetables aren't competing for nutrients with the weeds, and you will not have to do as much work as you would if you were using something like fabric, paper, or just honestly weeding by hand. This really is a great way to keep health in your garden. All right, I'm going to finish planting the rest of my garlic. I have, like I said, 70 plus garlic cloves to plant. I'm going to put them in the ground, cover them up, and then I am going to leave them, and then I'm going to harvest them come the late springtime into the summer. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you go out and plant some garlic, because it really is one of the easiest things to plant in your garden. And for those of you who have small spaces, this is a great small space plant for you to do. It really is one of those power foods that you need to be growing. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button and subscribe for more amazing content. Bye.